Well, thank you. Thank you, Deborah. They said they had me in the back kitchen and they said, just wait here. And I said, I want to hear what she has to say because I'm worried about the stories that she might tell. And I do remember that night out dancing. I'm glad I knew how. And Colonel Bolts, thank you for your introduction of my wife, and thank you for all the years of service you've given to our country. Thank you all for coming here today in a room that clearly exceeds capacity. Deborah and I believe that what we are about to begin today is so important we do it together. Because everything we do as a family. The whole Begich family, the Benito family, and all of you, our extended family. You're all part of this. We made Jacob an honorary exploratory campaign chairman. We figured he'd tell us all what to do anyway, so we felt, go ahead and give him a title. Our extended families are here today, and I'm proud of every one of them. But let me single out one for special attention. And it's not just because it's her birthday today. My mother raised a wonderful family in tough times. She contributed. She has contributed enormously to this state, and there's no one I'm more proud of than my mother. Thank you for giving her that round of applause. I'm particularly proud to be here in Mountain View Community Center. It's a symbol of what we're doing right here in Anchorage. It was built by public and private partnerships. It's run by the Boys and Girls Club. It's across the street from a new state-of-the-art middle school, down the street from new businesses and jobs, around the corner from a soon-to-be library, and surrounded by a thriving community of great ethnic diversity and many military families. All of Anchorage is doing better than ever before. I love this city, the city where I was born and raised. When I became mayor, we had a $33 million deficit. Public facilities have been neglected, and voters repeatedly turned down bond measure because they didn't trust the city government to spend their money wisely, and with good reason. So the first thing we did is restore trust. We eliminated the deficit by cutting waste, consolidating services, privatizing, and investing in what matters most: police and firefighters, more fire stations, better roads, and improving our neighborhoods. Government has to get back to the basics and do it right. That's a lesson they should learn in Washington, D.C. Today, we live in a very different city. Anchorage is a major engine of Alaska's economy. Over 9,000 new jobs, new parks, playgrounds, libraries. Our budget is balanced. We've held the line on property taxes, and our bond rating is now in the top 5% in the country. We have tens of millions of dollars of private sector investment and hundreds of millions of new investment approved by the voters. Voters trust their government once again here in Anchorage. It all comes down to this. You can't revitalize a city, a state, or a country if the people do not believe in you. And that's what brings us here today. We still have a lot of work to do in Anchorage, but we also have work to do all across this great state. It's why this exploratory effort has been so important to me and unique. I don't believe it's been done before in Alaska. I had the chance to talk one-on-one with people in communities all across this great state: Bethel, Kotzebue, Sitka, Fairbanks, Juneau, Soldotna, Matsu, and believe it or not, most of the time I just listened. I wanted to hear how Alaskans are doing and what they're concerned about. And I wanted to know if they thought it was time for change in Washington, D.C. And you know what their answer was? Yes, they do. Let me say right off the bat, I respect the work that Ted Stevens has done for the last 40 years. and I respect his service in World War II, serving our great country. He went to Washington in 1968 as a young man at the age of 45, a time when Alaska was a young state. We had a lot of infrastructure to build and many core needs, and Ted Stevens was there at the right time, at the right place to help our great state. But what I've heard over and over again the last 2 months was hard to ignore. Yes, Alaska built up clout in Washington, but respectfully, what good is clout if it's not used to solve everyday Alaskan problems? We have real challenges in Alaska, and we truly need real, genuine change. Our state's economy, especially here in Anchorage, is doing better than most in the country. But Alaska families are feeling the effects of the nation spirals into a recession. It's costing more to fuel our cars, heat our homes, and feed our families. And that means it's getting harder and harder to pay for health care, save for college, plan for retirement, and just pay the rent or the mortgage. It's why Alaska needs a senator as independent as Alaska, someone who doesn't answer to special interests, someone committed to transparent government, someone who keeps everything out in the open and always puts Alaskans first. We need the right kind of clout in Washington that's committed to doing what's right for Alaskans. So here today, after months of careful consideration, after a lot of listening, and with a wholehearted support of my family, I am announcing that I'm a candidate to represent Alaska in the United States Senate. Thank you. Alaska has always been my home. As a son, as a businessman, as a husband, and now a father, I've seen Alaska change enormously in my lifetime. And what we need in Washington has changed too. More than ever before, at a time of great national turmoil, we need creative solutions. But most importantly, we need Alaska solutions rather than 6 more years of the same. We need someone with the energy and the independence to get back to representing everyday Alaskans. You've heard me talk about independence, and here's what I mean by that. I'm proud to be a Democrat, and I'm proud to be an Alaska Democrat, but I'm not afraid to disagree with the National Democrats on issues like ANWR and gun rights, because on those issues, they're wrong. I'm going to disagree with Republicans, like on the fiscal policies. It's irresponsible to run up the deficit and national debt like they have. It's truly killing the economy. In Washington, they criticize the so-called bridge to nowhere. But the bridge to bankruptcy they're building is a disaster for generations to come. As mayor, I had to balance every budget and get them in on time. To do that, we had to be innovative. To hold the line on property taxes, we made tough decisions, looked for good ideas and found efficiencies, and brought the community together to solve problems. It is truly time we had a senator doing that for Alaska. You know, in my travels around the state, the #1 problem I hear over and over again from Alaskans is high energy prices. Alaskans want to know why we pay some of the highest prices in the country when we drill it and refine it right here. And why does it cost so much to heat a home? Our senator can be doing a lot more than they are today. First, we have to think outside the box. Yes, we need to open up ANWR, and I will fight strongly for ANWR by working across party lines and not name-calling. Alaska holds a lot of cards with the oil industry, but it's time we use them for our state and for our people. The oil companies need us just as much as they need them, especially if they want to start profiting from the natural gas buried beneath our great state. I think it's time we had a senator who used every ounce of his clout to push the oil companies to do what's right for us here in Alaska. Energy is one of the defining issues for our state. It's why we need an Alaskan energy plan, but right now there isn't one. That's why I joined the mayors of Kenai Borough and the Matsu Borough to create a comprehensive South Central energy policy for Alaska. Our plan includes immediate regulatory reform to increase efficiencies and conservation and lowering energy prices for consumers. We need to fast-track the permitting process for natural gas and oil exploration. If we get rid of the red tape for energy companies, they can create jobs faster. We have to develop a coordinated plan for natural gas storage in the rail belt to address the surge in demand and help lower prices. And at least 30% of our electrical power should be renewable resources within the next 10 years. And we need to do that for all of Alaska. If there is any state that should be the leader in energy, it's Alaska. We have coal, oil, gas, like the gas beneath the North Slope. We also have the enormous supplies of renewable energy, hydro, tidal, geothermal, wind, and we also are ground zero for climate change. We've seen the effects of global warming on our state. All you have to do is look at the shrinking polar ice cap and the devastating effects having on our rural communities to know we have to do something, not just today, but every day, solving this problem. Alaska should be leading the nation in developing alternative power. It can lower energy costs here at home and provide a new source of income for generations to come. Alaska's senator should be leading this fight. This Alaska energy policy should be the umbrella under which we finally get the gas line built. It's a perfect project if you think about it. It's supported by development community, oil and gas, labor, environmentalists, and yet our delegation has said, given up and washed their hands. I think that's wrong. Instead of giving up, Alaska's senator should be leading the fight and doing whatever he can to make it happen for us here and for this country. Our state's labor. Our state's energy resources are directly tied to the security of our country. If we can ever become energy independent, we won't have to rely on the Middle East oil, and our soldiers won't have to fight in wars and in a cauldron of extremism and terrorism and hate. It's why we can never forget our veterans and the enormous sacrifices they have made for our country. I've joined with Senator Jim Webb efforts to expand the GI Bill, the same GI Bill that Senator Stevens benefited from. Depending on how long you served, it would expand educational benefits to cover the cost of college degree anywhere, like the University of Alaska. Just like World War II vets, we owe the vets today, and they deserve the same as they got back then. Deborah's father is a veteran, and my sister's husband serves in the Air National Guard. I will dedicate my service on this issue to both of them as a salute to their service to our great country. Another issue I heard when I traveled around the state is we need a senator to address the unique healthcare needs of Alaska, expanding access to medical facilities and doctors in rural Alaska, visiting and investing in technology so people can access specialty care and experts anywhere in the state without leaving their own community, and increasing Medicare and reimbursements so doctors in Alaska can afford to treat their elderly patients. The simple path. The path to reducing healthcare costs for Alaskans starts with increasing that Medicare reimbursements and working toward guaranteed affordable healthcare for all Alaskans. That's what our senators should be fighting for every single day. We also need to expand a great program, Denali Kid Care, so every child in Alaska can have health care. The federal government pays up to 70% of this program. What we have accomplished in the city we should do at the national level. Through innovation, we've kept municipal health care premium increases to only 6%, half of what the national average is. When Jacob was born, Deborah and I didn't have insurance that covered his birth. So we were lucky. We didn't have a major complication. But many families are not so fortunate. I understand the challenges of no insurance, high deductibles, and expensive monthly premiums. I'll take my first-hand experience to the Senate to reduce the cost of health care for all Alaskans. Another priority, and you know, with a 5.5-year-old, you can't forget about education, I'll tell you that. Another priority will be providing young Alaskans the best schools possible so they have the skills to compete in this great global market. The federal No Child Left Behind Act is a disaster, especially in Alaska. I'll demand a supplemental funding for federal government that the federal government promised so all students can achieve their highest academic potential. And I'll work for vital preschool funding because we know the earliest years are the most important for our young people. And we will get Washington out of telling us parents and teachers and communities how to run our schools. We know best, and we need to be doing it. You know, there are national solutions to problems that will benefit Alaska. But the starting point for me will always be, how can I get results for Alaska today and for the next generation? For too long, Alaskans have been hurt by cigarette deals and hidden favors for special interests. The only way to change that is clean up the process. I've always believed that if you're in the public service, everything you should do and do in your job will be open to the public. In the mayor's office, we don't have secret meetings. My personal finances, in good and bad, have been open to the public all my life. It's not the way Washington works. We need a senator as independent as Alaska that starts by putting Alaskans first and being open with everybody. I'll work to pass a federal transparency act modeled after tough standards we have here in Anchorage. First, financial disclosures will detail every dollar of income for a senator and their spouse, like they do here in Alaska, and they will be publicly available on the internet. Right now, if you want to see the official financial disclosure of any U.S. senator, you have to travel to Washington, D.C. And then they destroy the records after 6 years, just in time for the next election. Our Alaska Senate should be making it easier for Alaskans to see the truth, not harder. There should be an independent ethics board of citizens, and they should have no ties to the Senate or conflicts of interest. Here in Anchorage, we have an ethics board that includes everyday citizens, a minister, and a priest. I guarantee you they will find the truth. But in Washington, senators police themselves, and their idea of reform is paid staffers monitoring the senators. If senators have nothing to hide, they shouldn't have to worry about who's watching over them. Here's another Washington double standard. Right now, senators have automatic pay raises and automatic increases on how much they can accept in campaign money. It's amazing. But time after time, senators have voted to kill increases in the minimum wage and even to deny bonuses for our combat troops. Here's an idea. Senators should only get pay raises when they vote to raise the minimum wage for working people in this country. And finally, let's make every meeting any elected official has with a lobbyist public record and posted on the web. I believe the only way to restore trust in government for government is to earn it. We've seen it here in Alaska, the ultimate result of unfettered greed and grainy videotapes and state legislators in hotel rooms laughing at the citizens of our great state. And we've seen it in Washington, the ultimate result of special influence and legislative indifference. Whether it's the national debt that's killing our economy or cigarette deals behind closed doors hurting our state here, the fact is Alaska deserves better. We are a strong state. All you have to do is look at what we've been able to accomplish in Anchorage and to see what we can do for the rest of the state. And I am determined to be the senator for all of Alaska. I'm reminded how important that is every day of my life. 36 years ago, I lost my father. He was 40, I was 10. It had a huge impact on our family and our state. People ask me what would have happened if he had lived. I wonder what he could have accomplished had he lived another 30 or 40 years. I think about that quite a bit. As someone in public service trying to help make people's lives better, it's what drives me every single day. I think about the woman who told me a story about special education. On the back of a napkin, she sketched out a law that my dad passed when he was in the state legislature. Today, thousands of Alaskan kids are better off for it today. That's how I look at life today. What can we do today for a 10-year-old that I see on the street or at a school or in the shopping mall? What will be the impact for them that I can do for 30 to 40 years from now? Will their life be better? And that's why this campaign is so important, and only with your help will it be successful. Together, we will build a strong future for all Alaskans, and I want to thank you for being here today. God bless you.